This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Economic reason. It is commonplace that the main reasons for European expansion to Africa were economics and trade. Given the geographical and geological composition differences present in Africa, several activities were pursued to raise income. The exploitation of mineral reserves was the most common, with the harvested materials being exported to their nations for the sustainability of their industries. Agriculture was also practiced, with the produce being exported for value addition. Later on, European industries produced much more than their markets could consume. This development prompted European governments to take up African colonies to secure markets for the goods they produced. From this, it can be said that European inquest and colonization of Africa were aimed at guaranteeing a continuous provision of unrefined resources, together with a marketplace for finished goods, hence profitability and continued existence. These trips affected the natives by altering their way of doing things. Currency-based trade was introduced as a substitute for the widely used barter trade. In addition, several concepts, including mechanization, were incorporated into the African societies. This ended the archaic methods they used for farming and harvesting. Notably, economic practices in the present day are mirrored by the precedent established by the European invasion. Political reason. As mentioned earlier, political supremacy was the focal point of the European incursion into Africa. This came after an intense rivalry for political supremacy among European monarchies. After the cessation of the World War, the struggle for supremacy was transferred to the political front, triggering their excursion to Africa. Their arrival on the continent prompted a struggle for territories, with several confrontations happening in the process. After the partition of Africa ended, the colonies set out to impose their preferred government systems on the continent. This was a new concept to the natives, who had different systems of government in their communities. Most of them were whipped into conformity after their monarchs had been persuaded with gifts. Gradually, Western forms of government were instituted into the African culture, bringing with it new concepts, like democracy. In the end, the colonial masters took over entire territories and established total dominance over these regions. This development enabled them to advance their economic agenda. Consequently, they achieved impressive progress in this area since the vast majority of African states carried on with the systems instituted by the colonial masters. It should also be noted that most of these states still use constitutions their colonizers were bequeathed to them. Cultural reason. This is the area in which the Europeans covered most of the ground during their expedition to Africa. A shift in cultural ideologies was guaranteed after the entrance of Europeans into Africa. They made concerted efforts to instill their culture in the African populace since they viewed African customs negatively. Religion was the most affected area. Their dislike for traditional religion was never disguised, forcing them to fashion out all attempts that were geared toward converting the natives to Christianity. Modes of dressing were also changed, with clothes being introduced in the place of skin that the natives used. In addition, the use of local dialects for communication was minimized by emphasizing the use of languages native to the colonial masters. The concept was passed on to the natives through formal education, which was introduced in place of apprenticeship and other modes of informal education that the natives practiced. This essay on reasons for European expansion to Africa was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for.